Buying a domain name and choosing a web host are what we're about to discuss in this video. When you are actually ready to put your files on the web and place all your own, you will need to do two things before this can happen. One is to buy a domain name, and the other is to buy space on a server, otherwise called a web host. So first, you generally register a domain name. And you can buy a domain name from any company authorized to sell them on the web, and there's thousands and thousands of companies that do this. Domain names, the average one that you don't buy from somebody else, like a person who already owns the name, but when you buy it from a registrar, can run anywhere from $35 a year to $1.99 a year, depending on where you buy them and for how long, and the type of domain that you buy. .coms are generally more expensive than .net and .tv and .biz and .info. So .com is usually the name you're going to go after, though, because that's the one that most people, like, if you tell them your domain name, they'll typically remember it as .com, even if it's not, so that's where they'll try to go. So that's why .com, well, one of the reasons why .coms cost more money, just as a heads up. And the longer you buy a domain name for, typically the cheaper it gets. So if you buy it for 1 year, that's going to be your most expensive price versus buying it for 5 or 10 or whatever. Usually the registrars will offer you a deal. You buy domain names in segments of a year normally. I've not seen them for 1 month at a time or 3 months or 6 months. And two common places to buy domain names, but by far there are tons more out there, are register.com. So this is www.register.com, and GoDaddy.com. Typically where you get your hosting is where you'll end up getting your domain name. You usually do it all at one time. But if you choose to buy your domain name first before you're ready to do hosting, those are two places you can start. GoDaddy will sell hosting. Register.com does too. Register.com is the more expensive option usually. I actually have some domains with them, but I only have a couple. The rest I buy at other places where I'm hosting typically. A place we're going to talk about when it comes to hosting is MediaTemple.net, and these guys also sell domain names. See, buy domain name. So if you're ready to buy your hosting along with your domain, you probably are just going to do it all at the same place. So how do we know if your domain name is available? Because there can only be one owner of Amazon.com. And just like there can only be one owner of your house, your address, you can't, someone else can't come along and say, that's my house too. You are the only one who owns your house if you're a homeowner. And you're the only one who rents your apartment if you are a renter, right? Unless there's 2 or 3 people on your lease, but still that's all, like they capture you guys all in one place. They don't add more people to it if you rent. So only one person can have a domain name. Multiple people may not rent it, like an apartment. Only one person may have a domain name. And you need to check to see if your domain is available. So if we say we want pinkracingjacket.com, you could search for the other options. We can see if it's available. Oh, look at that. pinkracingjacket.com happens to be available. And if it were not available, you would probably see here, first of all, they're going to show you other options, pink-racing-jacket.com, and currently it looks like you could get that for $9.99. This you could get for $9.99. Some names are owned, ones that you might really want, and if they are owned, it will tell you it's already owned and it's available for purchase for, they might say how much money, or it might say you have to go through one of our reps and we'll negotiate it for you. I had a student one time who purchased a name for Art 190 and for a class project, and a year or so later he contacted me and he asked me what to do because someone approached him to buy his domain name and they were offering thousands of dollars for it. and he showed me eventually he went through with it and got legal documents from them, and for sure they really were buying it for, I think, like $6,000. So sometimes people will just hunt you down to find out, if you own your name, and they'll say, I really like that name and I really think it's worth it. In this case, it was a pharmaceutical company. So they bought it. And other times, it might be just that somebody has a domain name that they think is a good domain name and they would like to just offer it up for sale. So then they'll tell GoDaddy or some other broker, I'd be willing to sell this, and so money can be had that way. Most domain names, though, usually what I have people do is if their specific domain name is taken, such as, I don't know, well, let's see, Arizona Dogs. Let's see if that one's taken. Sometimes I hit on these and I can't get a single one, like this one, see? So this one's already taken, and you can view this to see if they're going to expose themselves as to who it is. Or use domain buy service to get this name. So they're saying there might be a shot of you getting the name. You never know. And here it's saying that it's giving us all sorts of contact information in here. The owner street, the owner. It's privately protected, so you can't tell who actually owns it. And if you go through domain buy service and you come up with the perfect name and it's gone, the world's largest domain name registrar brings you domain buy service. So for $70 per domain name plus a commission on whatever they manage to get it for, they attempt to contact the current domain name owner and see if they're interested in selling it. They negotiate the price for you and help facilitate the transaction if a transaction agreement is reached. So that's kind of how that works if there's a domain name you really, really want. But in this case, I'm saying I want Arizona Dogs and I can't get it, but Arizona-Dogs is available. AZ-Dogs is available. Arizona Dog Boarding is available. There's lots of other options here. Just depends on how flexible I'm going to be, or I may come up with a different idea. So you purchase the domain name, and if you are going to get hosting, you would then, GoDaddy would definitely prompt you, do you want hosting as well, which we're about to talk about, or you just own the domain name for right now. And then every year you have to renew it. So you need to make sure that you've registered your domain name at an account with an email account that you check. So it doesn't expire on you. So if you get a notice at the end of your year, like usually they give you like a 90 and a 60-day notice that's about to expire, then you can go ahead and renew. But if you forget, they usually give you a little bit of grace period in there, but yeah, if you forget to renew it, someone else can buy that up. So let's talk about hosting. And hosting is the space where your files actually are. It's a server, a computer that is connected to the internet all the time, 24 hours a day, ideally total 100% uptime, and if at all possible, otherwise they'll say it's cloud or whatever. So ideally this has a high uptime wherever you are purchasing through. GoDaddy has a very good reputation. And you are literally going to be buying some space on a computer or in the cloud that is connected to the internet, and they will connect your name to that little address where that space is, wherever your files are. So to select a host, you want to compare a few things. Most hosting services out there are going to meet your needs. So it might be about pricing it for you. It might be about, like in my case, when I'm doing WordPress, unfortunately, I have not had a good experience with GoDaddy with web hosting. It's been slow. So I have had to not use them for for WordPress hosting. I've had to go elsewhere. So even though they're a really good price, I have a tendency to go to MediaTemple.net. You know, and they have some really big names over here that are using them, like Adobe. I think Starbucks was using them at one time. I don't know if they still are. Red Bull, NBC, you know. So yeah, got lots of big places here, AIGA, that use these guys. That wasn't why I went with them. I actually was referred to them from a programmer who said that they are really, really good for WordPress. However, you'll see here that if we go, I don't know what verb hosting is, we'll go to grid service because that's what I'm familiar with. It's $20 a month. Now you get 100 gigabytes of storage and a terabyte of transfer. So whenever someone comes to your site and they view your page, they're actually getting, it's, you know, it's usage. It's they're transferring data from the host to your computer. So this is a terabyte worth of transfer. So if you have a lot of videos or whatever, you're covered. A terabyte is a lot. You can put up to 100 domains on one account, so why would you need 100 gigabytes of space? Well, if you're putting a lot of domains on the same account, this allows you to. You get 1,000 email accounts and much, much more. These guys have really good customer service, and when you talk to them, you're actually talking to somebody who can answer your question really, really well. GoDaddy, you are talking to people who have been trained. You know, they come in, they're trained to sell products as well as help you technically. So they are not, I have found that they aren't, though they usually get what I need, but when it's a real technical issue, then it has to be accelerated, you know, given to somebody else. So, it's a slow process when you have a major technical issue with GoDaddy. So that I can tell you is like, sure, you might only be paying $4.24 and you can buy hosting per month. In this case, they're probably going to require you to have a minimum of 3-month contract. I do not know. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like 3 months is your minimum. I've had really good experience with them when it's just basic HTML files, but when a database gets involved, like with WordPress, it hasn't been good, and I'm hoping that changes someday. I like them, even though they aren't the most technically savvy people when it comes to helping you. You know, for the price, that's a huge discount, over $20 a month. But you know what? When I call these people up, they are so patient with me, and they solve my problem every time. Sometimes I just send in a ticket. It does take a couple days when I send in a ticket, but if I'm sending it in, it's not as urgent. And you know what? They've answered me, and they've answered beyond what I expected, and I've always gotten what I needed from them. So in the case of what are you looking for, how much space, like here I'm getting 10 gigs of space, 150 gigs, which 150 gigs of space is more than these guys are giving you at $20 a month. Unlimited bandwidth, here it's limited to a terabyte, or terabyte's a lot. So you could say, well, GoDaddy's giving me so much more. Well, they are, but again, you know, I have seen major performance issues when I've installed WordPress. Now, some other things to look at are when I look at this features thing here. We have, so minimum purchase length 3 months, that's where that is. And how many email accounts? 100, but then total email storage is 100 megabytes. So if you had 100 accounts, you'd get 1 megabyte per email account. So you actually have to pay extra for the unlimited email accounts with them. I use GoDaddy's email, actually. I'm very happy with it, but just be aware of your storage space here. You're limited to 10 databases, so you could only like do 10 WordPress installs on the, and you would have to actually go up to the deluxe to do more than one domain name, I believe. At least that's the way it was the last time I looked into it. So you have to go through here and compare all this stuff. Now, the thing that's really important to me these days, especially with WordPress, is do they have a one-click install? And they do for free add-on applications. So if we click this, it's going to say, oh, look, WordPress is supported, Joomla, all that. And if they say that they can do that, this one says one-click hosting applications. That's what I'm interested in, because I have never installed WordPress from scratch. There's lots of coders that can. I haven't. Here it's telling me we've got easy to use, optimized auto installers for WordPress, Drupal, and Zencart. So it looks like GoDaddy actually has a lot more one-click installs than Media Temple does right now, but I only need WordPress, so I'm good. So that's something to check out. Do they have that one-click install if you're going to use them? Do they offer discounts? Like these guys, if you pay for a year at a time, I think it's $20 a month, or sorry, $200 a year instead of $20 a month. Beyond that, it's really word of mouth. You'll hear from all sorts of people, how their experience has been. There's people out there like there's services out there like DreamHost and Bluehost. They're all very good. I just know what I've used, and it really comes down to, okay, who do you know that's used the service and have they liked it and why? So um, that's really what hosting is, as far as selecting one. Once you've heard, hey, so and so likes DreamHost, go look at their features, then go look at GoDaddy's, go look at Media Temples, go look at a few, and compare those hosting features and look for what you need. And I'll tell you, for most websites, you don't need, typically, unless you're doing a lot of video, you don't need more than, 500 megabytes is actually more than you need. So this 100 gigabyte thing, that's if you're going to put a lot of stuff up there. So most of them meet all those minimum things these days. It's just a matter of how do the sites really perform and what is that tech support really like and is there downtime? So I've answered those things for GoDaddy and Media Temple. I can't speak to the other ones, but if you check around, ask people those things. Does your website perform quickly? Do you use WordPress? How did you install it on there? Do you know how to do that, or was there like a one-click thing? What's tech support like? Those are things you need to find out. So that is what it takes to select a host. You ask around, listen to people who know, and you do have to have a domain name and a host. Usually your hosting provider will help you connect those two things up because the hosting account has to be assigned to, or the domain name has to be assigned to the hosting. And usually the hosting company will also tell you how to install WordPress. If it's a one-click, they'll usually walk you through it. You will, in addition to your main username and password for your like GoDaddy account or Media Temple account, you will probably also end up with FTP usernames and passwords. They will help you set those up too. So a lot of this you're relying on your host. So that tech support that you get, the communication that happens, how easy are they to work with, is super important.